we're sitting here a couple days before Amazon Prime Day. You might have heard about it. Is it a big deal in the independent channel?
It really does draw a lot of promotion and interest from consumers, whether you're an Amazon Prime user or not. The challenge really for me as a marketer in this seat is, Amazon, everything is based on driving low price. And the commercials are cute, they're kitschy, they're memorable. But from our perspective, driving down the cost is not helpful to the industry. It's not helpful to our channel.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. We're sitting here as this podcast publishes just a handful of days away from Amazon Prime Day, that good old manufactured event by the large online retailer that was initially started to celebrate a birthday for them, but has since moved to all different times of the year. No real rhyme or reason, it seems, to what they do, but drums up a lot of interest and certainly a lot of online traffic around that time. And with that being the case, we thought it was a good idea, or nice opportunity to take a look at the marketing efforts here at Nationwide Marketing Group around this time of year, around this event, and see if it's something that what the independent retail community could do to capitalize or use this opportunity to tell its own story in the independent, in the retail channel, in the online space, and retail in general. So to do that, we turned to someone who's been with Nationwide and has really been the marketing guru, the digital marketing guru here at Nationwide for the better part of the last 5 years, and that's Amanda Evans, our VP of Shopper Marketing, to talk about that and more, and luckily did so on, what was her birthday, speaking of birthdays. So she was nice enough to spend some time chatting about the digital efforts to tell the independent retailer story and things she's doing. It's just awesome to hear how passionate and fired up she gets about this topic, because it comes through in the work that her department does and that she does specifically, and she kind of embodies everything that we're about here at Nationwide, and that's working on behalf of the independent retailer to put them in the best position to make these Amazon Prime Days anything but a worry, to what business could be like. So we did that. We got Amanda to come on and chat and talk about more than just that too. What this last year has been like, what they've learned from a marketing perspective, and how things have changed and what they might look like going forward. So we did that, and excited to share it with you today. So let's dive into this Independent Thinking Podcast with Amanda Evans. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast. And before we dive into the episode, I just want to say happy birthday to you, Miss Amanda Evans. I don't know why I got so lucky to have you record a podcast with us on your birthday, why you're even letting this happen. But
No, I'm excited. Good. It's a good birthday present for me.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you on. Our VP of Customer Marketing. Is that right? Or how did I get that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Shopper Marketing.
Shopper Marketing.
It just recently changed, so
that's right. I was sure of your title, and then I went and looked. I was like, oh, that's right. It just got changed. So well, first of all, let's start right there. What does that explain Shopper Marketing and what the new role means for you?
Yeah, so my role really didn't change. Really what I've been doing the last 5.5 years that I've been part of the buying group. So in that part, I'm really lucky. But really, I'm just focused 100% on how do we drive customers to our retailer stores. So some of that is obviously through our brand relationships that we have, and knowing what they've got going on, how we can help promote certain products and promotions, but then really like blowing out and creating a whole bunch of new stuff for our retailers. It's really retailer first, is kind of how we think of it internally. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Has that always been, you marketing background, tell us a little bit about, is this always what you've been doing from a marketing perspective, and then what led you to Nationwide?
Yeah. So, I graduated high school and I was like, oh, I'm going to get a communications PR degree. I actually found out very early on I hate pitching media. So that was my least favorite activity to do. But
I'll take
I've
no
always
offense
been
to
lucky, right? To kind of
that.
pivot to marketing and advertising, and have spent like the last almost 20 years, thankfully, in this industry, marketing specifically. My background, I spent 10 years in franchising, couple of years in nonprofit, and then a few years at a digital and web agency. So all of those things kind of combined really made this opportunity, when I first heard about it 5 years ago, really attractive. So, all those experiences kind of led me here.
That's awesome. And we're obviously pleased and blessed and lucky to have you. So you talked about it a little bit, but I don't even know if you can give an elevator pitch on what goes on in the marketing department where you are, but talk a little bit about, try to peel the layers back for our listeners on kind of what it's like in Nationwide Marketing Group's marketing department.
Oh yeah, perfect. So luckily, we've had the ability to add several folks to the team since I've been here, which is, I'm super thankful for that. Really high caliber, marketing minded, creative minded individuals. So what we do is really figure out a promotional path for our retailers, right? So part of it is, how do we help them use co-op funding and, drive things that are really important to, our manufacturing partners. So new product introductions, how do we keep content ever present on their websites? But really what we've been kind of pivoting towards, and we're excited to be able to unveil a bunch of new things at Primetime when we're together in Nashville, but really focused on retailer first. So, shop local and searches for near me type, products and services have just continued to grow exponentially. So we want to make sure that we have a library of ready to go content ready for our retailers to use across a variety of channels. So not just digital, but social, print, you name it. So
no, that's awesome. And kind of, ironic that shift's happening when the gist of why we're here today is because the timing couldn't be better. We've got an event. We're sitting here on your birthday, a couple days before a big event that's usually a month later than it is right now. But Amazon Prime Day, you might have heard about it.
Yeah, once or twice.
You may know what that is or what goes on there. But talk about, that's kind of a self-made holiday for Amazon. They can do what they want, but is it something where, is it a big deal in the independent channel?
So I think it's a big deal for consumers, right? So I like to put that hat on first whenever I think about, promotions and different activity. It really does draw a lot of promotion and interest from consumers, whether you're an Amazon Prime user or not. The challenge really for me as a marketer in this seat, in the role that I have with independents, is, Amazon continues, if you look at any of their recent ad campaigns, everything is based on driving low price. Yep. And the commercials are cute, they're kitschy, they're memorable. But from our perspective, driving down the cost is not helpful to the industry. It's not helpful to our channel. And in fact, it's probably, Prime Day is more of a competition between the big box stores than it really is for us. Because again, that's not the focus of our retail environment. We're trying to drive the right sale to the right customer and focus on features and helping the customer find the best product for them. And, I've sat in meetings for the last 5 years and seen our average sale value just continue to be much higher than kind of industry average and big box. And so I think there's a story there to really tell, but we can't, eliminate our voice and our footprint when there are big, consumer holidays like this. So, our stance is really, let's get out ahead of it a little bit, and we want to play up the nature and all of the good things that independents bring to the retail channel. So that's really our push here. We're going to be a week ahead of it, really because we want to capitalize on all the buzz that is going to happen in that time period around Prime Day. So that's really why we picked the days that we did.
Certainly. And I mean, you mentioned it, that this is, you see a lot of those competing. For anyone that shops online, consumers online, you see the competing big box, stores trying to make their own mini holidays out of this and use that online traffic to kind of drive traffic to their own websites and stores and things of that nature. But you mentioned the I guess it's weird to say opportunity, but there is an opportunity because a lot is happening online to kind of capture that buzz and turn it around. Is it something where, as opposed to driving the sale message, like you mentioned, low prices and things like that, what is the opportunity for the independent retailer, during this time and during, this manufactured holiday, if you will?
Yeah, right. So I think for our retailers specifically, making sure that they're in market with some message, right? So we really are just on the end of the Memorial Day promotional period. Not a lot of save stories, happening like we're used to in years past, but there was a lot of activity, for us with a lot of our brands. But just having some sort of message out there in their local communities, if they want to use this independence, message, it's a great tie-in. It helps kind of leverage and bridge the gap towards, the July 4th period as well. And really, we kind of picked this because it was a little bit of a play on words, but we really want to focus on the things that make independent retail unique. So trained salespeople, right? So we're not just pulling someone from another department and kind of repurposing them when you need to buy a refrigerator and you have a bunch of questions. We want to make sure that, we can focus on, what's in stock or readily available, because we all know that that's a big consumer concern right now. Obviously this continues to be unprecedented times. Things have gotten better, and then some things I think continue to still not be great in terms of getting product out there with the demand that we have. Another message that we can push here as well is, service after the sale. So I think that's really important as you're building your brand awareness in the marketplace, is to talk about how long you've been part of the community, the things that you do to support your local community. And then obviously, for appliances and some of our CE folks, service after the sale. So it's not a single transaction and, hey, we're done with you. Like, know our name, and the salesperson is still there to help you down the road.
The interesting thing in kind of hearing you talk about those tactics and where we're leaning in is, it almost sounds like those are the things that, as you're talking about marketing an independent store and an independent business, that we lean into anyway. So it's just kind of reinforcing those messages. And I mean, I'm sure you could speak to it. I mean, that message resonates, I imagine, with consumers. Is that kind of what you guys are seeing?
Yeah. And, we took some gambles last year, right? So I remember coming home and, things started shutting down in March, and just being on, felt like a million conference calls with all these different brands, figuring out what their plans were, right? Like what was going to shift. So most brands really did pull back from their national ad spends. And what we saw, thankfully, was independents really stepped up and continued to spend to build their brand awareness, which I think was absolutely the right move to make. We did pivot a couple of things because it gave us an opportunity to test what message during the pandemic really worked. So obviously shop local, big, huge push there. And then we tested several things with in stock. So shop local, shop in stock, which performed much better than we have typically even seen, our biggest kind of save up to type offers. So think consumers are just really leaning into the shop local. You even saw, Home Depot and Lowe's really pivot all of their ad strategy last year too, which was more of this human aspect, we care, kind of emotional tug than even what they traditionally do, which is, this product, this price point.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Now, do you see as those kinds of the bigger stores do that and try to lean into almost encroaching on our space, if you kind of sort in a way?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I get
right.
so fired up every time I see it.
Well, that's crazy. It makes me like, do you have to, from when you saw that, do you have to do any sort of pivoting to, differentiate again away from that?
I think the value of our channel is just being authentic. So it doesn't feel like, anything that we're producing or that our retailers are producing and running on their own feels, manufactured or forced. It does feel authentic. And I think that's what resonates with consumers, especially at the local level. I do get really fired up every time I see, their national ad spend, or, I'll be watching TV and the ads come on streaming and I'm just like, oh, just makes my blood boil. But I think that's just the nature of this. But I have seen more and more retailers, obviously we all talk about it, but really leaning into digital, getting their websites, more up to the standard of what consumers are expecting to see. So it's no longer just a basic landing page, with your logo and, a couple of the brands you sell. It really has to be a pretty robust experience because we know consumers are going to do all of their research now, even more so online. And then that's really where they're figuring out, okay, who's got it, what's the price point, and, then the other things like service after the sale, free installation, free delivery, things like that.
No, that's awesome. And one of the things you said a little bit ago that stuck in my mind is that, this past year gave you the opportunity to test things out and do some, A/B testing to see what works, what doesn't. Is there anything, in doing that you learned that you can kind of carry forward, into the second half here of 21? I can't believe 21's half over. Oh man.
I know,
what?
right?
But that you
We're
can
already
carry
planning for like Labor
right?
Day. So we never
I know.
live in the present anyway, but
Crazy.
yeah, the things that really kind of stuck out were the, in stock message or how fast you can get the product and being able to display that on the website, really down to the individual SKU level product image, right? So we've been able to facilitate some of that for our retailers who are on the platform by getting certain feeds from some of our manufacturing partners. We talk about it with all the rest, so that we can try to get that capability, pulled into the web experience. Some of our retailers have been able to do that directly on their own with tie-ins with like their point of sale and things like that. But even just flagging product that is on display and in stock, or just different keywords like that is a really easy process to do, at least on our web platforms that I know of. And doing that, again, just putting as much information in front of the consumer, because they are then going to make their choices based on what they can see online first, and then they will decide whether or not to visit that store. So definitely the in-stock really stuck with us. And then we're continuing to do a big push on different test and learn opportunities. So there's some exciting things that we'll be able to share coming up at prime time, but we just did our first pass of a test on the luxury customer. And so Karen on our team just did that on Monogram. So we'll have some learnings there that we want to share. Things like, if you're in a market that is, much more of the makeup is Hispanic, we just did a test with Tempur-Pedic in that market to really serve native language ads, essentially via Google, to consumers and see what the difference looks like. Then instead of serving someone whose internet settings are set to Spanish, we shouldn't be serving them English ads, right? So let's meet customers exactly where they are. So things like that we're always just trying to iterate and kind of test. So that's really one of the benefits of being part of our platform, is that we're able to pull those things off much more easily and include more retailers.
It's awesome to kind of see that, the work that you guys do and how it's constantly evolving. It's never finished, what you guys are doing and evolving and making it more customized and streamlined for not even just our retailers, but the consumers that end up getting served these ads and things like that. Have you seen in this past year, this more anecdotally, I guess, but just an interest from our members in terms of what you guys are doing and even adopting some of the things that you've been able to apply over the past year?
Yeah, definitely. I know we continue to see our numbers of, members who participate in the websites. And so we're always trying to iterate new campaign creative there as well, like level 4 type promotions. I'm really hoping that we'll start to see more people engage on the email marketing platform and with social media. Those are 2 areas where it's low cost or no cost to our retailers. We are going to start creating a lot more campaign content for those 2 particular areas as an example, because that's really low hanging fruit to drive traffic back into the store, or pull a customer back in for an additional purchase or add a warranty or things like that. So I'm hoping we'll start to see more folks pick up there too.
No, that's awesome. And kind of related, maybe it's the same answer and you could tell me just to not ask it, but what opportunities do exist, as we shift to the back half of the year, and even as we shift to consumers starting to get back out to stores, for retailers with their marketing efforts?
Yeah. So, one of the things that, I get really passionate about is using co-op dollars. So I always hear, ends up being several $1 million with our top 3 vendor partners that, our members are leaving on the table year after year. And that, pains me inside, because think of all the traffic that you could drive, or just general awareness to your brand name in your marketplace by using those funds. So that's one big opportunity. We're always talking about how do we make it easier to use co-op. So it's either, making it easier for the retailer or making it easier for the vendor to say, yes, we love this creative, we're going to give it the highest possible reimbursement. So those are opportunities we're always working on. Other things that we're really looking at, again, is some retailer first, if you will, campaigns. So I just kind of submitted a couple of briefs that we're going to get started on, but, who are the sleep experts? So a campaign around that. Things like, is it worth protecting? Is another campaign that we're getting ready to start the creative on. Again, just trying to create opportunities for our retailers to push a message that's really focused on them. We're not talking about this product at this price point in this time period, but something that can live for a while, and they can kind of plug in when they need something or just to build awareness. The one other opportunity that I think is out there, and hopefully we'll also get to talk about this at prime time, is really Gen Z. So they're already kind of popping up in key segments of our industry. So they are obviously the target for most bed-in-a-box sales. They're also a target when we look at certain Samsung TVs. And so really figuring out what's the right way to reach Gen Z. It's very different than, how we go to market today.
We just got done learning all about millennials, and now you're going to throw that. It's just never ending. It's crazy, but no, always cool to hear. And your passion, I think, is infectious. So to see it and be able to capture it in a podcast is something I've been looking forward to. So, and to get to do it around a topic that I know gets you fired up is maybe the best time to do it.
Yeah, I love the opportunity and, being able to talk to our retailers, hear the challenges that they're having. Lets us kind of go back to the table and brainstorm and come up with a solution. So, here's my plug to anybody who's listening, is like, we want you to reach out. We want to work, one-on-one, and because it helps us learn too.
No, that's awesome. And thankfully this is not live, so we can tell them that we don't have to tell them not to reach out today because it is your birthday. So
yeah,
we wouldn't
no,
want
I'm
that.
good.
That's awesome. But I've taken up too much of your time on your birthday. So Amanda,
No.
I appreciate it. And this was great. And certainly maybe we'll have to catch up at prime time. And since we'll be back in person, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But just to see how those things are going and the learnings you guys have from what you're working on. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Go celebrate.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and thanks again to Amanda. I said it at the top, but a belated happy birthday as we publish this now. But awesome of her to take time, despite a birthday, to celebrate with us on the Independent Thinking Podcast. So a lot of fun chatting, and like I said, again at the top and throughout, it's just awesome to hear, how passionate she is about this space and the work she does, and the independent retail channel is better for it. So we appreciate her taking the time, and as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.